Hey,
Bingo!
I don't know what that is. Welcome, everyone. It is Monday Night Generational Change. I'm Jen.
I'm Peter, and I had to do a wardrobe shift twice.
Because you were wrong.
I was wrong, but I didn't know that I was wrong.
You should know.
I should know.
We usually know like that twin telepathy. We usually
Well, I
know.
I have a feeling that I actually was right.
No, I know for a fact you weren't, because the last time I was absolutely wearing my jersey, and I know it because I know because it had to go in the wash because it was stanky.
So, guys, I've been given proper instruction from Jen that I need to properly be speaking into the microphone.
Yes.
I'm doing everything I can in my capacity to make sure that I'm doing that. We couldn't even get out of the gate. We've already got somebody, Silvio Pina. Ci samina vinto raccoglie tempesta.
If you so win, you will reap. Absolutely. Greetings from an Italian. Oh, you know what? That's just such a pretty looking language. It really is. It even looks good in print.
Italiano.
I like it.
Smash, I like button
I do.
guys.
I like the whole Italian thing.
It is Monday night.
Yes, it is.
And the Miami Dolphins season is officially over.
I'm so sad.
Yeah, Tua, unfortunately, is probably not going to play. At least I don't think he should. But who the hell knows?
And it all comes down to what you've said all along. And I'm saying
he's small.
We need a bigger quarterback.
Yeah.
We need a bigger quarterback. I feel like it is what it is. We need a bigger quarterback. So, I mean, I do like that we still have a coach. I still like
got
that.
A very good coach.
I know that
got very good talent.
To me, I know. See, that's the thing. We still have like the fastest players.
Ryan Fitzpatrick, Fitzmagic. Thinking about Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I don't know that one.
Fitzmagic. Because you might actually come out of retirement and play quarterback for the Dolphins again.
I don't know who
This
that
be the
is.
perfect
Who is
time
that?
for him to come and do
What
that.
team and how old?
I don't understand how you don't remember Ryan Fitzpatrick.
How would I know this? First of all,
quarterback on the Dolphins.
What years?
It's been a few years.
Okay, which coach tutelage? Like, I feel like that, honestly, the Dolphins, we went through a coach every season and probably a quarterback every season for what seemed like 10 years easily. Like, it was crazy.
Enrique Jawa wants you to know that he likes professional wrestling, among other things.
Okay.
Is wrestling a sport?
Well, it's athletic.
It is athletic.
It's just
it is athletic.
The score and the winning losing is pretend, but the athleticism and the injury potential and that's real.
So the Giants got off the mat, and thankfully we're possibly going to have a decent season. We will find out as early as this Thursday and we'll see what we're going to do in terms of our live stream on Thursday, because the Giants are playing the Cowboys on Thursday Night Football. So we'll know very, very quickly. Yeah, Jay. But I think Flacco is past his prime.
Put that up for a second. Yeah, Chromium, I'm not sure why that shouldn't be, but I will find out what happened, because we definitely shut down ActBlue.
I've asked Mario to email generationalchange@gmail.com.
That's fine. Forward it to Robbie.
Yes.
That's fine. Yeah, that shouldn't be.
Thank you, Chris. Much appreciated.
There's a lot of things. I feel like all right, so I occasionally communicate with Matt Ho, okay? Mm-hmm. And there's not a lot of people, and Steve is another example of this. There's very few people that I feel completely understand how I feel like I'm living in a black cloud, and how it just feels so unbelievably dark, and so few people get it. And so I was just, And so I proposed a very silly question to him. And this is based on something that I saw him talking about. So apparently Zelensky has a victory plan. And, oh yes. And so I texted him, I'm like, let me ask you something. What do you believe in more, Zelensky's victory plan or Kamala's opportunity economy? Yeah. This is the kind of stuff, like, it's laughable.
It is laughable, and it's also even more laughable, because it shouldn't surprise anybody at this point, that Josh Shapiro, governor of Pennsylvania, thorn in the side of the Harris-Walz campaign. By the way, Governor Walz of Minnesota, Mr. Everyman, was just at a massive fundraiser for the Democratic ticket. And who was hosting this wonderful fundraiser?
You send that like it's even... See, this isn't even remotely questionable to me. Like, that's not even entertaining.
Huma Abedin and Alex Soros.
But again, he's on the Democratic ticket. It is what it is. This isn't his personal campaign.
No.
And so the things that are set up are set up. And honestly, to sit there with what's going on in the world, that in terms of corruption, and that doesn't even make the radar.
No.
That's how I feel about that. It's such a non-story to me.
It's just an acceptance of the system, I gave them.
Okay, one, it is completely the system. Nothing is shady. It's out in the open. People don't like it, but it is how it is. So yeah, I don't see what now, if he was doing something that he ought not be doing, or taking money from someone he ought not be taking money from, but that.
Well, he is taking money from George Soros's. Well, his son is running the operation now.
What difference does it make?
It's all the same, right? Because the oligarchs all swim in the same waters.
Right. It doesn't. Again, he's running he's part of a national campaign team. They take corporate money. It is what it is. I mean,
but they're better people, though.
No, they're disgusting, all of them. And I've not met Tim Walton. He very well might be a nice enough guy. I don't know. I don't care.
Seems like it.
Doesn't matter to me.
Doesn't matter. So before we bring in our guests, I want you guys to get an idea of just how long this scam has been going on. It's been going on for a very long time.
Which scam? You have to be more specific.
This idea that we can vote our way to prosperity.
Oh, yeah.
We can't do that. Now,
No.
you can vote, and voting does matter. However, if you do not have sustainable outside movements based on labor, then it doesn't matter.
And voting is important, local.
Correct.
That's important.
Nonpartisan races.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are probably at least somewhat familiar with the disaster that was the 1972 presidential election, at a time when the Democratic Party still had some semblance of being the party of labor, you had a nominee, George McGovern, who was a true progressive, but he was able to get through at a time where the superdelegates didn't exist in the party yet. And so there was a collective effort to ensure that he could not win. Jen, you remember the 72 election?
I don't remember it, but what I do know about 72, first of all, I was only a year old. But what I do know is that—
You remember everything. You're a lawyer.
No, but there's a picture of me at protest in a stroller at the RNC had their convention on Miami Beach at the convention center. And my parent, I don't know if my dad was there, but my mom was like, yeah. So I was I just know that I was there because there's a picture from that. No, I don't have like a memory of it, but I do recall my mom protesting at the RNC.
My first memory was when I was 3 on a swing and my grandmother.
What does that have anything to do with
just
politics?
Saying how early
Okay, that wasn't the point. The point was you were talking 72.
This is an ad that played on national television in 1972.
The McGovern Defense Plan. He would cut the Marines by 1/3. The Air Force by 1/3. He'd cut Navy personnel by 1/4. He would cut interceptor planes by 1/2. The Navy fleet by 1/2. And carriers from 16 to 6. Senator Hubert Humphrey had this to say about the McGovern proposal. It isn't just cutting into the fat. It isn't just cutting into manpower. It's cutting into the very security of this country. President Nixon doesn't believe we should play games with our national security. He believes in a strong America, to negotiate for peace from strength.
So a few things. One, this makes me want to vote for McGovern because this looks good. It makes sense to me that was who my parents were they were with that. That makes sense to me. But still looks good. This looks good to me. So what are you saying, that they haven't evolved at all because these are the same people that are Kamala people? Well, these are the people that evolved into the Clinton people, which is the Kamala people. Democrats for Nixon, that's definitely what the neo-lib people.
Nixon was never anywhere near as popular as Reagan was, even though the size of the margin of victory was almost identical between 72 and 84 in their re-election years. The difference, of course, is that the Democratic Party of 1984 and 1972 are two completely different political parties. In 1972, Democrats for Nixon was a real thing, but that was because the Uniparty was acting in concert to ensure that McGovern didn't have a shot in hell.
But 84 was just that. I don't know who was it. Mondale. Yeah, but Although that was the Geraldine Ferraro.
Yes.
That was actually kind of cool.
Well, I will say that I will not allow my opponent to make fun of my age, and I will not make fun of his lack of experience. And at that moment,
and I'm not like a Mondale person by any stretch, but he at least comes from the correct part of the country. They have things better there.
Arguably worse, Phil? No. Seismically worse.
Hugely, bigly worse.
Huge.
But it's only gotten exponentially worse since then, each party. Like everything has led us to where we are now. Each administration has had their contribution to the downward spiral. They all do. Some more in certain areas than others. But this has nothing to do with the political theater. This is all just capital. This is all just capital and empire. So it doesn't matter who's there.
No,
we're heading in the trajectory is implosion of empire.
Yeah, and at the time, I'm not sure anybody necessarily thought that McGovern had a chance in winning. And of course, Nixon was a fairly popular president, to say the least. But then it just got pushed into overdrive when you basically had the Democratic Party machine behind the scenes working on behalf of Nixon. So how could you be competitive? It's not possible.
And ironically, though, nowadays when I hear that, it's like anybody that was a Republican back then is already to the left of where the Democrats are now.
Now the argument
it's crazy that was so conservative, that Nixon was conservative. Reagan wasn't anywhere near, we have all lost our minds.
Well, and let's be fair, we're also living in a different time now, because the argument, of course, would have been that if Bernie had won the nomination in 2016, that the Democratic establishment would have done the same to him. Yes, they did. They did it in the primary. They did the same thing. The difference is that we're living in a technological age where we can actually see this happening in real time. In 1972, you didn't have that luxury. You didn't know the types of things that were going on behind the scenes when you actually had an insurgent, non-corporate candidate at the top of the ticket trying to bring real systemic change to the country. That could happen today, and that is the advantage of having technology. 50 years later, it does make a difference.
It could happen, but it can't until we destroy the capital empire.
How are we going to do that?
It's happening. It's crumbling on its own. We will have the U.S. empire will have come and gone in like a quarter of the amount of time that the Roman Empire even existed. Like that's how much of a blip we're going to be in history. And we're just watching it towards sort of like the tail end of it. But yeah, I mean, you don't see enough in this country about BRICS and what's going on around the world. And people in this country are very untraveled and unseasoned. And for the most part, don't really leave this country. Most people don't even have passports. So, we are very, very in a bubble here. But when you look at what's going on around the world and you look at things like BRICS, which, by the way, has a higher GDP than the G7, you start to think, wait a minute, they're really going to get us. It's only a matter of time, because at the end of the day, might doesn't make right permanently. It does it for a while, but it's all the economy, stupid. And when they figure out a way to screw us economically, and that's a matter of time. You know what I mean? These are not like I know we like to pretend that those people are not as sophisticated as us, not as smart as us, whatever. I disagree. And so as soon as they find a way to cripple us, like economically, it's over, because you're not going to be able to bomb your way out of that.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to watch, but yeah, no, we're watching the decline. It's happening all on its own, sort of like the implosion of the Zionist state, happening all on its own.
Well, speaking of trying to bomb your way out of circumstance, it does seem that Israel is convinced that they can bomb their way into World War III.
No, they want to bomb our way into World War III. My understanding is that that Biden has sent troops over there now, that he has sent troops over to Israel for what's going on in Lebanon. Let me tell you, this is only going to be able to go so far as that before, oh my God, with school back in session, the protests are going to, you start sending troops. Oh, it's just going to get they're facilitating the revolution with that.
Yeah.
And honestly, because, and they just don't take people seriously. They're really stupid. Like, I was watching Scott Ritter, and I don't think people realize how close we were to like nuclear annihilation the other day with this whole thing going on with Keir Starmer and this thing about Ukraine and all. Like, there's crazy things that we do not know that's going on. And one of those things is we don't get an accurate interpretation of Israel in terms of their strength and their economy and their capabilities and all of that. But
I've been saying for the longest time, if you give me one world leader that I think would drop a nuke, I think Netanyahu's.
Well, he's the scare. Yeah, but they can't, like, there's no win. There's absolutely no win. It's sort of like the Ukraine thing. There's no win. There's no win. It's just a matter of how long before you stop the bleeding. There's no winning it. But we don't take people seriously. I watch, and I do not know the leader of Lebanon's name. I don't. I don't.
Charlotte. Oh, wait, no.
I don't know his name. Whatever. But when he's sitting there and saying, "We're not stopping until you get out of Gaza. We're not stopping, and it doesn't matter what you do to us." Yeah, I'm believing him. And Hezbollah can level Tel Aviv. See, I don't think people really understand the gravity of the situation. And Netanyahu thinks he's going to be able to get his people moving back into the north. Oh, no.
Well,
they're never going back there.
Well, how about they have ferries that are basically going through the Mediterranean now and these are Israel ferries that are going through the Mediterranean to show Israelis the bombing of Gaza in real time. I mean, the audacity is really at a level like that you didn't think you would ever see.
Yeah, well, it's completely out in the open. They don't care. They sit there and advertise. They videotape themselves kicking people off of rooftops. They videotape themselves. I saw a video of a father walking around holding his toddler's foot.
Yeah, because that's all he had.
Yeah, I saw that.
So
see, that is something that I got to tell you. I never in a million years would have thought I would ever see that. Like that I would see something like that. And I am so enraged. Like, I honestly don't know how else I don't even know how to talk about other things anymore.
Well, speaking of enraged, and we obviously are very happy to have our guest even for a short while, but I think it's important when you think about, domestically and what's been going on, particularly for the Haitian community. It's not just what has transpired in Springfield, Ohio. It's what the community has had to endure for millennia, or not millennia, but centuries. I said millennia, that's 1,000 years. But for centuries, the island of Santo Domingo and on the western side, Haiti.
Well, we've been punishing them for eternity because they dared to demand
freedom
and self-determination. So we've basically been punishing them since then.
Well, we have a wonderful community leader here in South Florida. He's from Haiti. He knows a thing or two about Haitian politics, and he also knows a thing or two about the bullshit that is being spewed in their direction and has been for quite some time. So this is nothing new. And so while a lot of people like to express their outrage, this is important to understand what needs to be done in order to not succumb to the same negative connotations that come with people from island countries and how they assimilate into America and the roadblocks that are put in their way and how people are just not aware of that. I think if anything,
I can honestly tell you, I have been watching my entire life from growing up here, the difference in how we treat immigrants from different places, specifically like how we treat people from Haiti. And it's completely different than how we treat other people. Well,
he is founder of the Haitian Renaissance Project. He is a great community leader here in South Florida. He is also a friend that we think very highly of. Alexandra Telford, welcome to Generational Change.
Hi.
Thank you. Hey, Jane. Hey, Peter. How are you guys? I'm happy to be there with you.
Do I say ça passe?
Naboulé.
Naboulé.
So, absolutely. Thank you for those smiles, guy. But, the situation is not really good right now. And I just participate in another show with some people in Atlanta for talking about the actual situation of the Haitian here in United States. And what I didn't expect is that a child go to school. He's from he born here, but he used to go to school. And normally he was appreciated, and then since this week, this guy become an object of bullying. Like all the other student asking him to if he still eat dogs and cats, etc., etc. So this is what we didn't expect, you know. So it's become worse than we imagine. Okay, so it's very bad situation right now for the Haitian community.
You know, and I can't help but thinking it wasn't that long ago when I was sitting in, what was that discussion we went to? This was the ambassador to Haiti talking about what was going on in Haiti. And
Yes.
I don't remember what,
With
what
Representative Sheila
Sheila Shifless McCormick. Yeah. And I remember just listening to just all the turmoil going on in the country. And now the people that are here, people like you that are part of having to deal with putting that back together, is sort of like, now you're having to deal with this here. That's what I like. It's really scary. And people have been talking crappy about Haitians my entire life here. Seriously, like the eating cats. I've heard that growing up. I heard that forever. That's a very stereotypical type of slur. I mean, that's not new.
Exactly.
Alexandra, can you talk about the history of Haiti and how it's come to this point? That, I think, is something that a lot of people are not familiar with.
Or more importantly, where is it now?
Yeah, well, listen, the last course that I took in college, I went to, where'd I go, Jen?
He went to Rutgers.
At Rutgers, I took this course called Conflict and Change in the Caribbean. And the one thing I took away from that course, more than anything else, is that there is no island nation that has taken it on the chin harder than Haiti. Period.
Yes. And listen, you remember the history of slavery, and we were absolutely one of the country. First, we have the First Nations, and the Spanish and the French killed all the First Nations, and they needed at this time people to search, to walk, and to find the gold that they want at this time. So they take people from Africa and come with them here in Haiti, in all the Caribbean, in America too, as you know. The thing is, in 1804, we took our independence from France, and this time they didn't accept the independence because we were the most productive colony they had. Okay, so in terms of sugar, we were the country who produced the more sugar in the world at this time. Okay, so but the slaves did that, and after this they asked the country, after we took our independence in 1804, to pay a debt for this independence. Okay, so so we had to pay this money, and we built our economy to pay this debt. And during 200 years, we did only that. And remember, we were always this poor country, and we had the American people trying all the time to invite Haiti. That they did it one time, but they did it in Dominican Republic two times. Okay, and the reality too is what happened in 1776. Of course, the United States claims that they found the new world, but it wasn't the new world for all. It was the new world for a category of citizen, the white one. So when Haiti in 1804 took its independence, it was effectively for all, because right now the Latino were born here in the colonies, and the black people, all we were free. So
Yeah.
and this is where it start, the real problem start between Haiti and the United States. And the other thing, we asked the government at this time to let to free the black people in United States of America and make them come to Haiti. So you understand. So
Yeah.
they interpreted it as a threat, like we want to export the our independence or revolution in the United States. So
Well, yeah,
they need eh,
you want to steal all their property and they use all their slaves. No, if all their slaves left, then
exact.
what would happen?
Exact. And then we have to wait until 1865 when Abraham Lincoln gonna take this resolution to recognize Haiti in 1865. Like
Uh-huh.
let's say 61 years after, 61 years after. And the United States start officially have the diplomatic relation with Haiti. And we know that what they will do after, like they invade Haiti in 1915 until 1934. Okay, and we never have the stability in politics, and we never have an economy built for us, like for the Haitian community to progress, but an economy to pay the debt to France. And the other thing, the gold reserve we had in 1915, United States came in Haiti, took it.
Yeah.
You imagine the reserve, the gold reserve we had, they came and they took it and they never gave it back to Haiti. And each times we have a president want to do something, of course, because they control the army after 1934, you got a coup, and we're gonna have a successive of coup in Haiti, and never got stability. But in 1990, when we got the first democratic elections, we had Jean-Bertrand Aristide, who become a priest, who become president. At this time too, he want to renegotiate everything with the American government. They say no, and there's a coup. Okay, so etc. etc. And until now, we still have this instability. We never succeed the democratic transition, and right now in the country we don't have any elected official, and we are a failed state. We don't have an economy really good. It's a very, very, very bad with a high inflation, very bad, as I said. So if you see it all the time, we had this relationship between United States and Haiti, like they are the powerful United States, and because we are black, we are poor community, they want to keep us like that. But the thing is, what about the diaspora, the people who come here? Absolutely, they are good workers. They do everything good, but they are victims of this discrimination too. Still, it's not something's happening now. Okay, it was always like that.
Yeah.
Okay, it was always like that, and this is why in the 90s they said we come with AIDS in the United States of
Mhm.
America. It was
Yep.
false. It was
Yep.
false. And then you see, so at a certain time they say the boat people come with a lot of bad people, etc., etc. You
Yeah.
know, and and this is it. So we don't really have a very good relationship in terms of respect. Like people, the government respect the government of Haiti. The people here, let's say some people here, not all the people, because when you see a man or a woman who used to work with a Haitian, they say to you, "We are good people." People
Yeah.
who doesn't know us absolutely say, they everything they want because they want to discriminate us. But the thing is, we are here to help the people we leave behind, our people, because absolutely the country doesn't work. Absolutely, we are a failed state. Of course, there's a lot of corruption in the country, absolutely. But for now, let's say it's not finished yet. We not say our last words. There is a new generation, in the diaspora in Haiti, who try to do their best.
Uh-oh.
Audio kicked.
Audio, something happened. Wait, we can't hear. We can't hear.
Can't hear you, Alex.
Something happened.
You hear me?
Now
Yes.
we do, yeah.
Okay, great. So yeah, I said it, and I'm happy too because here in the United States we have some champions, people like Eugene, who take the responsibility to defend our community. So I appreciate your work, and we hope we can do best for you to represent us too in the Congress. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in any way, I'm still an advocate, regardless. Like I will use my platform. And the thing that it's just really, you notice these types of hateful things, of course, increase in an election year because they're so concentrated on keeping everybody so divided. And the best way to do that is to punch down at immigrants. And I do know that people are very concerned about immigration and the border. They are. And they're concerned about it because people have been fanning the flames and fear mongering about it. And there are cities that have seen a lot of issues with people not having resources because they have nowhere to go. So it's easiest to get people to kick down. And that to me is just always, it's never the right answer. Like that's always the wrong approach. And we never stop and think, why are there so many Haitian people trying to come here and risking their lives, even coming through places like Mexico and coming up that way? And and we are such a part of that.
Yes.
Let's say hypothetically, the United States never meddled, never got involved in Haiti and in their political and their government, never assassinated their people, never did that. Your entire story would be completely different.
No, absolutely. And listen, Jen, the thing is, we are part of the first new immigrants who used to come to America. Like, okay, so this is the reality.
Yeah.
The truth is too, we participate in the war of independence of the United States. Okay, and the other thing, people who immigrate here in those years, like Dubois, they found the city of Chicago. A Haitian man founded the city of Chicago.
Wow.
So we, during the years, we conquered the rights to live in America, the country of the immigrants. And remember, why America is different. It's not a powerful nation with one kind of people. It's a powerful nation with the world. America is the world in miniature. You understand? Is the
Yeah.
world in miniature. And this is why we love America, because it's this powerful nation where everybody can find its place. So
Yeah.
when we see this and we say no, we know it's not America who's talking these things, who trying to bully the Haitian, etc., etc. We know. Of course, this is why we say, okay, we know what to do, and the first responsibility is to get a better country home.
Yeah.
And this is the best thing to do right now. And me particularly, I want to do this. I want to participate to make Haiti a better country, so we can come. When we come here, they will absolutely respect us, like they want to respect the Ukrainian because they are white people. You see, then they not imagine themselves as a poor people. Like, and it's sad that right now, as it is here in America, like the Negro, when we see the Negro, we see they call the Negro, they call the black people the poor. Okay, so
Yeah.
they associate the black with the poor. Okay, so this is the same thing when we come as Asian, they associate us as poor, but the white people as rich people, but the black as poor people, and it's sad, but it's a good test for me. It is a good test for America to see again their real values. You see, to see their real values, because when you study America, you know this is the country of freedom, this is the country of family, this is the country of faith, this is the country of progress,
It should
So
be. It should be. It's
yeah.
supposed to be.
And it can be.
I think it can be, but I mean, but it needs to be that way for, all the people.
This is why we have those people like you, leaders like you, who drive those conversations, who lead this conversation, because we cannot let America to be what it's not should be. We cannot accept that, and it is the responsibility of everyone. It is the responsibility of everyone to keep this America for all,
Yeah.
not for a category of people, but for all. Absolutely. Yeah.
Alex, we cannot thank you enough for coming on and sharing your sentiments about what's
And can
going
I
on.
can I just say something seriously about the cat and dog situation, okay? And the dogs and the cats, because first of all, here's the thing. Let's say hypothetically that was a cultural thing. Seriously, look, India doesn't eat cow. Certain countries eat horse. I know certain countries. My point is it's like, just because somebody is culturally different, even if that's true, first of all, doesn't mean they're going to steal your pet. Okay. Just because somebody has, like, if you eat cow, that doesn't mean you're going to go steal your neighbor's cow. That's
No.
not how it works. Right. So the whole concept of fear mongering about that, all that also does is it helps us other cultures. So I'm telling you, pigs are smarter than dogs.
I was just going to say.
And we have no problem eating that. I don't eat any of that. So, because I don't eat that.
Yeah.
But my point is, like, when we put stuff out there, whether or not we assign it to the Haitian community or anybody, what we're basically saying is that if you do things that aren't with our culture, then you also must be a criminal. So you must also be a criminal. And that's just, you're not us. And I don't like that. So my point is, even if it was a Haitian thing to eat cats, which I know it isn't, but that's still, it bothers me immensely that we have to.
No, listen. Let's say
saying?
every time we go to Publix, you see dogs, and
Right.
they say, "This
But
is what I."
countries, I think that isn't that, like, what country is it that they do eat dog? There are countries that eat dog.
And I believe in the Philippines.
It's in Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
Like, I do think that. And I know there's countries that eat horse, and there's native tribes that eat horse. And I think
hey, listen, in South America, in certain countries, I believe, like Peru, and
Yeah.
they eat bugs.
Well, okay. Well,
Yeah,
but I'm just saying, it's just, I don't like doing that. And the point is that
Yeah.
the Haitians don't have, like, a special thing with cats and dogs.
No, it's not a reason. It's not a reason to bully people. This is
No. Even if it's true, right, for sure.
And that, of
To
course,
discriminate us. Yeah.
that's true. And that is exactly why these conversations are so important, because people are afraid to humanize people that they don't understand. And once the humanization is brought into question, that's the whole thing about war. You see, you have to dehumanize people like the Palestinians in order to drop those bombs. If you humanize them, then you see the children that are dead.
That's what I mean.
It's the same thing with dehumanizing the Haitian community.
Yes.
If you humanize them, then there's this guilt about, oh, maybe we really are being, inhumane, and it's not a good thing.
Guinea pigs in Ecuador. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I have to say that to the people listening, like, absolutely, as Asian, what we know how to love people better than us. We love a stranger better than us. We are like that, Haitian people. We don't cultivate really. Even we don't have the trainings, the education to absolutely lead the country, because at a certain point of our history, we lose the train of development. Of course, yes, but we still love people. And listen, of course, when you see the insecurity situation, there's still a lot of foreigners in Haiti. Okay? There's still a lot of foreigners, but they still live their life. We are not cannibals, like they try to say. Okay? We are not. And we don't want to be too the terrorists. And you see, listen, they want to push us there to say, oh, they are bad people, let's kill them, etc., etc. We won't do those things. We will continue to love people. It's very important. Okay, we are the country of freedom. We want to still keep this with us. Okay, so America need to know, if they want to count on a friend, Haiti is the best friend of America, because we were two creating the new world. The new world. The way they did it, it was not good, because it was just for a category of citizen, the white ones. We
Well,
said,
that's what
listen,
they like, though. That's why
exa-
you're being eternally punished.
exactly. And we said no. We are all human. We all need freedom. We all need to have our place in the world.
Alexandra, if people want to follow your work for the Haitian Renaissance Project, is there a website that they can go to in order to get more involved in your work?
Well, for right now, we absolutely on Instagram, on IG. They can find me in Instagram. So next week they're gonna have the website. Absolutely, yes.
All right, fantastic. Colin, you'll have those links in the description for everybody to follow. It is
Thank
always
you.
a pleasure to see you. Keep fighting the good fight. It's only 6 more
Thank
weeks
you.
of nonsense. Just got to get through this election, and
Thanks,
then eventually people will
Alexander.
like temper down. So
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Peter.
good
Bye.
to see you, sir.
Bye.
Bye-bye. He is great, and obviously has been a great leader for
I love
the
his accent.
community. I think when you've been through a lot, and he has risen to be a success from very hardened times, and I think that just makes you less susceptible to the outrage that so many people face. Like, you know what, I've dealt with this forever.
Make no mistake.
Yeah.
Haiti is District 12.
Yeah.
Haiti is District 12.
Even though I've never seen the Hunger
And
Games.
Yemen's
But I know what
District
you're
12.
referring to.
Haiti is District 12. These are places that we have decided that we just want to like permanently punish. We're just going to basically make them so that they cannot succeed and that they cannot just exist. We cannot allow them to thrive. We just can't.
Yeah. The French Creole accent is very
I know, I like it.
sharp.
I like
And
it.
this is why when people talk about what's going on, I thought to bring Alexandra on the podcast as soon as the stuff started spiraling.
With the
Because
dogs
again,
and the cats.
you know, they bring
Seriously.
it up one time and then they can't stop bringing
Well,
it up.
'cause
and then,
it's
of course,
so
it becomes
catchy.
cannon fodder.
But again, the idea, first of all,
And all corporate media wants to, and this is where corporate media is even more guilty than Trump is, because they don't want to stop talking about it. They want to continue to fan the flames for it and get people riled up so that they keep addressing it, and they make lives more dangerous for the people that are already here
They're
and
so
they're not
vulnerable.
familiar with the country.
These
you
are
know?
very vulnerable people. This is a Haitian
Correct.
community is very vulnerable for a lot of reasons. But, you know, this kind of hyping up where you're creating this fear of the boogeyman. Look, the fear of the black man,
Yeah.
that's been going on forever. This is like that whole, you know, Jim Crow post-slavery thing where you had to like basically they had to criminalize being black, because you couldn't otherwise keep people incarcerated. You know, you had to be convicted of a crime. So there was loitering, there was all these things. And you would make up this sort of othering, lessering image of people to create them so that they're a criminal class. And when you start talking about they're eating cats and dogs, and so you need to be scared for your pets, like there's some boogie people out there going to kidnap your animals and eat them. And that is so, like, it's childish. This is like, we have reached the point of just lunacy, that's even something that, and people want to talk about that because that's how stupid and simple-minded we are, that is something that you think is worthy of a discussion. We were like within an hour of nuclear war last week. An entire genocide is happening. But yes, by all means, let's get all concerned about the Haitian boogeyman coming to get your pets.
It's the joy campaign of Kamala Harris.
I'm just disgusted by all of it.
Well, if you want to see what really has been going on, and my God, it's pretty rough out there. Israel is desperately trying to get World War III started.
Oh, and now we have sent troops.
We sure have.
I
But according to the fact checkers, Kamala Harris was telling the truth about the fact that we don't have troops all over the world. Yeah, we do. And we have them right here, baby.
For a long time, Israel has used sex to sell Zionism, to convince people that Israel is a hot fantasy being realized by hot people, not a racist settler colony built on the killing, displacement, and erasure of the indigenous Palestinians. This is intentional, and there are 3 reasons why. They involve Israel's invention in the past, cover-up in the present, and survival for the future. And this all started when Zionists first started plotting for the creation of a Jewish homeland in the late 1800s. For centuries in Europe, stereotypes of Jews were that they were weak, pale, and frail, and the Zionist movement came to see it this way too, widely criticizing the weak, old Jew. In 1898, at the Second Zionist Congress in Switzerland, the co-founder of the Congress, Max Nordau, called for a new Judaism, a muscular Judaism, and invented the idea of the new Jew. This Jew would be rugged, muscular, strong, and tanned, and would have the mental and physical strength to realize the goals of Zionism and colonize Palestine. In the early 2000s, surveys in the US were showing that Israel had a big PR problem with men aged 18 to 35 who just saw Israel as a conflict zone and weren't interested. So, another rebrand was due, and the solution this time was bikinis. In 2007, the Foreign Ministry and the Ministry of Tourism arranged for a photo spread in Maxim magazine, one of the most popular men's lifestyle magazines at the time. The brains behind this initiative at the Israeli consulate in New York said the models were, quote, a Trojan horse to present Israel as a modern country with nice beaches and pretty women. This video is from the official Israel in New York YouTube channel.
So you should come to Israel. We have a beautiful country, great food, great culture. Come to Israel. Beautiful girls as well. See you at the party.
This strategy, also called bikini diplomacy, has been seen all over since, with Israel constantly selling the image of a liberal, free country.
Okay.
Yet there's no legal gay marriage.
Which also goes to show you why they use this imagery. They're using this imagery because it plays on the liberal privileged class. They love stuff like this because they don't fight in these wars. They never put their lives on the line. They always encourage others to do that. And that's why when they talk about Israel in the context that they talk about it in, they see it as a sort of utopia in the middle of this brown, backwards, part of the world.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, there's a hell of a lot of subjugation of women in the Middle East. And you know who leads the pack in that? Saudi Arabia, apparently our ally. They're good people. No, they're our business partner. That's what
They're a client.
They're a client, as Jen would say.
They're a client state.
Indeed.
Where it's always summer, where the days are full of beaches, bikinis, and chiseled bodies, and the nights are spent in an incredible nightlife scene open to anyone and everyone. In the face of this fantasy, Palestinians come off like a backwards, pesky nuisance trying to disrupt this liberal orgy utopia, not like colonized people looking for freedom and dignity. But that was in a time before social media, where only the powerful had access to a platform. Times have changed, and so the sexy offensive has had to adapt. All over TikTok and Instagram, you can find videos of Israeli soldiers posting thirst traps or dancing videos. Some of them act independently, while others are part of a concerted effort putting attractive women in the occupation forces in the public eye. Like the women at Alpha Gun Angels, a gun modeling and social media marketing agency who sell being a colonial foot soldier as a sexy lifestyle.
But listen, I've been in the army, I'm Israeli, I'm tough.
Thirst traps aren't only reserved for women, but for weapons as well. And beyond selling sex, they're selling colonial occupation as fun, relatable, and empowering. They love gay pride content, girl boss content, and jumping on TikTok trends. Of course, the great irony is that none of these liberal values are extended to Palestinians. They live under occupation, regardless of what they identify as. In that, colonialism does not discriminate. When the Palestinian reality started reaching people around the world, the strategy had to change. Whereas the goal before might have been to rebrand and repackage Israel, The goal now is to distract and whitewash. So bikinis were traded in for military uniforms. Fine, military occupation is a part of the reality, but it's not what you think. It's empowering and fun and sexy. Do you really think people this fun, young, and free would have it in them to commit war crimes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Actually, I believe that they're raised and trained to do so
And who would have ever thought
in their psychotic cult.
that warfare would be celebrated?
Well, these are not, these people are animals.
No,
like
war,
these, oh,
yeah.
no, but these are not normal people.
And I'm not even convinced that these women that they're showing on here for titillating purposes are actually soldiers.
They very well
actually
might be,
fighting.
though. A lot of them could be. Remember, everybody does serve.
Yeah, but do they serve in a combat zone?
No, it doesn't mean that they don't have a weapon, though. And it doesn't
That's
mean
true.
that they're not armed, because even when I was there, and this was in 87, before the first Intifada, all Israeli soldiers, when they're on, like, walking around town or whatever, they're armed. They walk around armed even when they're, like, in a nightclub, when they're out. Like, we were on a dance floor dancing, and there's soldiers, and there's, like, machine guns flying, like swinging in the dancing moves. Like, seriously. So they're always armed.
This is not going to end well.
No.
It's going to end very badly.
Very badly.
And they are still convinced that they're going to be able to skate on this.
Well, they're luring us further and further in. But my I think
Just the video.
the problem is that I think that they're so psychotic. The Israelis, their leadership is so psychotic. They're totally okay sacrificing their own people. Completely okay with it. They don't care, because they know that Hezbollah has the capability and can cause significant damage.
Flatten them.
Yeah, they really can.
Yeah.
And they're working with this whole new kind of technology, which apparently is courtesy of the Turks, which I've said before, and I'll say again, it's all fun and games until they get involved. Because now you're having a whole issue, because they're a NATO state, reluctantly, but they are. But the point, like, this is now involving Turkey, because that's who supplies to Hezbollah. And then you have Iran, which obviously they're going to support Hezbollah and Hamas because they're part of the resistance of, oppression. But this is just, it's not, Israel's going down in a blaze of glory, they think. Like, that's, I think, how they think. Like, they're like Thelma and Louising this situation. That's what it looks like to me.
What they're having a very hard time understanding is that our country is evolving past the war machine in terms of its citizenry. There isn't this significant percentage of current cadets that are just aching to get over to Israel and fight on their behalf, to die for Israel. That's what they're looking at.
You're going to see it. I mean, we already have serious, that's why we can't win. Like, our military is so woefully understaffed, underprepared, under-equipped. Like, we have all the toys. We have a lot of aircraft carriers and toys, but there's no staff and personnel to run them. So that's a big part of the problem. But we're only going to get involved so far into this. But, like, we can't win a ground war against Iran and Turkey. Like, this is because I think that we're thinking, okay, we'll just drop some bombs. We'll drone some folks.
We bomb some folks.
We bomb some folks. And that's that. But this kind of war isn't going to go that way.
No.
Not with Hezbollah and not within Israel. And I think Israel, well, no. The people, I don't know what they know and don't know. Like, I don't know what they're censored or whatever. Their leadership clearly does not care if bombs start flying into Haifa and Tel Aviv. And they clearly don't care.
Why would you care at this point?
They don't care.
Israel's suicidal.
They are. And so this is, and I also do believe that a lot of the people, a lot of Israeli people that were your more, I don't know, non-psychotic people have long left.
And that's just why I get tired of people just wanting to point the finger at Netanyahu. And even though he is the most guilty party, that nation is psychotic.
If he were to get assassinated, then they're still going to continue what they're doing. You still have the same people. The party, the party, it's the Likud, but then there's this other group that's part of their coalition. I don't completely understand the working of how the Knesset works. I really don't. But I know that the people in there were having a discussion on camera as to whether or not it was okay to rape prisoners. Mm-hmm. They were having a legitimate discussion in their legislative body with members of their as to that. So this is not a country that I can take seriously. Like, these are not serious. This is, for years that does Israel have a right to exist? And I would always say, well, I don't think any country does, whatever. Now I want somebody to ask me because no, they just don't. They forfeited that right. They can't play nice with others. They need to be lanced off the earth like a boil.
Not like genocide.
I am so, yeah.
And this is why empires eventually collapse, because you have the guided boat tours to watch Israel drop bombs on Palestinian civilians in Gaza. You actually have boat tours. Hey, you want to see a bunch of Palestinians get bombed on the land that we're going to now take over and build up these? They are so lost. And on top of everything else, you got President Zelensky from Ukraine, who's actually going to weapon. Why am I?
I don't know, but according to Scott Ritter, we almost all died last week.
Sure. So
just saying.
The weapons manufacturing plants in Pennsylvania, the state of consequence, maybe the state of consequence in the presidential election, showing up there with Governor Shapiro. And they are, just like Nikki Haley did, signing bombs. Signing bombs. I mean, talk about collapse of empire. Like, this is just unbelievable. But is it, though?
What bothers me really the most in my life, and this is what's really dark, and this is why I reach out to people like Matthew and Steve who get this, it's like I walk around very, very often just so upset that I live amongst people, so many people that are just okay. They're fine with this. It's all good. Like, forget that I have or had friends that are seemingly okay with genocide. Forget that. But just in general, just people are just, it's like, to say we're desensitized doesn't even seem accurate. Well, it's so off the charts what's going on right now in Israel. And by the way, it's not going unnoticed that they've taken this as an opportunity to also claim the West Bank, right? So they've been going out, like the settlers are going out.
Worse.
Oh, it's like pogroms. Yeah. They're conducting pogroms in the West Bank right now. And we're just like, nothing to see here.
But the conversation that happened the other day between Bill Maher and Henry Winkler, Bill Maher's like me. He comes from I
embedded this. It will not cause us to hate the Fonz.
No, the Fonz is actually
because I cannot handle that kind of serious.
The only thing I will say about the Fonz that I wish were more prevalent, even though this is a podcast that's obviously made the rounds, Henry Winkler is a Jewish man, and he is anti. Well, I don't know if he's anti-Israel.
He doesn't say it, but he's
anti what they're doing right now.
Yes.
And of course, Bill Maher. He really thinks he's some great.
I think Colin's having technical difficulties. I think he's having Colin's using it. So we're gonna have to. Oh wait, here he's coming back. But I actually did see this clip, and I was scared to watch it because with all of the disappointments from like people that I loved in childhood, I really
don't let the Fonzie. Fonzie gonna let
me
down.
Tell you something, okay? When they had Henry Winkler come on, and I forget, he was winning some award. It was at some like Golden Globes or Emmys, and they had the jukebox there, and he had to go turn on the jukebox, and he's like, and he like did it. Like, I cannot tell you how much I loved Arthur Fonzarelli. So I'm just saying, like, we have to preface this with like, it would devastate me if it weren't good.
And if you haven't seen The Lords of Flatbush, that is how both the Fonzie and Rocky Balboa got their starts in the early 70s. So here we go from Club Random.
Time I ever went, I would not go to Israel. I was convinced if I stepped terra firma on Israel, I stepped off the plane onto the tarmac, a war would break out.
Why?
I don't know why. It's a tick.
Well, that's more than a tick.
Yeah.
That's psychotic.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
What? I mean, why you stepping off the plane?
No, not me. Just
just bad timing.
Bad timing.
Well, in
No, I wouldn't cause the war.
Oh, I see.
I would just be in the middle
I
of it.
thought they were like, the funds.
Hey,
it's on.
Henry's here.
Allahu Akbar, the funds.
Really?
This is the last
Oh,
straw.
my God.
The funds is in Israel. Now we have to get them into the sea.
Yeah.
Oh.
What about their prime minister? Are we allowed to talk about that?
Of course, you can talk about anything. That's what I love about this.
I really think that he knows if, God forbid, he steps down or the war is over, he's in jail.
I mean, that's possible, and we hear that a lot. I mean, it's
I
interesting.
believe it to my core.
Yeah, well, you don't know what's, I mean, that could be the case. You don't know what's in a person's heart. Whether that's true or not, you can still be supportive of the decisions he's making, which I am.
Okay.
It's very naive, I think, that this could go any other way.
Right.
And any other country in the world would not be expected to act any differently. If you get attacked, you get to fight back. And the war doesn't end when you start fighting back, which they always want with Israel. You know,
he's such a douchebag,
Elitist.
pompous piece of shit.
Wannabe elitist anyway.
Okay, first of all, the prison break on October 7th was not an invasion from a foreign nation. Just wasn't. We've covered it. And actually, the majority of people that were killed on October 7th were killed by Israel.
Yeah. Inconvenient truth again.
Yeah, again. And so also the whole, I am so sick of with Kamala and Trump, everybody with the dead babies and like, enough.
What about
it's just not true. And this, like, I hate giving him airtime. I saw a much shorter clip where it was just the part where Winkler points out.
We can speed this up after he makes his
when somebody,
you know what? A lot of what you're saying is true. However, I think that you know, there are parents, there are families that are hurting because the hostages are not.
Yes, and it's the job of a statesman and a leader and a prime minister to think long term and not just short term. Like, if they don't eliminate Hamas,
you're such an idiot. You're such a fucking idiot. Eliminate Hamas. How's that going?
How are you doing that?
How are you doing it? You haven't. If they haven't been able to defeat, think about how pathetic Israel's military is. They have not been able to defeat people in a confined space the size of Cleveland in almost a year.
Yeah.
People that don't even have equipment to shovel their own people out of rubble.
This is also this is a lifelong trained military that can't defeat people that don't have weapons.
They can't. It's really unbelievable.
Yeah.
And now they want to see what happens with Hezbollah.
Do you know why?
Good luck with that.
Because they're privileged pussies who actually value their lives more than others. What that means is that their beliefs are not that strong.
If you guys haven't had the chance, go and watch Greg Stoker. Comment on all of the footage of all of the Israeli soldiers like doing stuff like where he's like, yeah, you're shooting at nothing. You don't know what you're doing. Like, it's so funny watching him review the footage.
They're not going to eliminate Hamas. Hamas is an idea, not a group of people.
That's a bullshit thing.
It's not bullshit.
Well, let me tell you something. They've said that for years. I just read, I think, Sam Harris on this, and he said it right.
I know Sam.
Okay, great.
I like
love Sam. Great. I'm glad we both do.
Yeah.
And he said this thing we've heard a lot of times. You can't kill an idea. He said, well, we did after World War II.
Until now.
We did kill a lot of Japanese, and that was unfortunate.
Right.
But, I mean,
what the hell does that have to do with killing an idea? And by the way,
that's unfortunate.
Oh no,
that's so Obama right there.
Right? No, this piece of shit. First of all, doesn't know history at all. Doesn't know anything about history. We already know now that the 2 bombs that were dropped in Japan were completely unnecessary strategically, and that the generals and the leaders had begged Truman not to do that because it was unnecessary. The war was essentially over.
Yeah.
And so for him to say, like, he's just so incredibly ignorant, and that's so unacceptable for someone who has access to information to be so incredibly ignorant.
I mean, if you do kill enough lunatics, and they were Japan was led by lunatics,
Right.
Died of the last person and a
Yeah.
lot of suicide bombing and all that. Very similar to what we see with radical Muslims.
Right.
Suicide bombing, cult of martyrdom.
Right.
Okay, so Japan became our good friend. So let's not pretend that you can't actually get to the root of this. It is difficult.
I'm not pretending.
No,
I
but
truly believe
No,
that in
you will
this
not-
particular case,
you will not.
you don't think that all those people that are now homeless and their families are destroyed, you don't think that they are now
I think you have to make
Hamas?
calculations.
That's the point. And that is the conclusion of this clip.
Which, by the
And-
way, that's one of the reasons that Israel does what it does when it attacks. Because, and this is something that we should talk about regarding the pager attacks in Lebanon, because they weren't wanting to necessarily kill so many people. They want to maim and disfigure and disable as many people as possible, because then those are not going to be soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
So when you see these things happening in Gaza, where you see all these kids that have, like, now all their limbs are missing and they're orphans and all that stuff, yeah, that is definitely people that could be radicalized, but they're going to be significantly hindered by disabilities if they're able to live to that point. And I think that's the point. So when they did this pager thing, what they're seeing right now in Lebanon, because I was just watching a doctor, a surgeon, trauma surgeon who was there, who was talking as to what he's been seeing. And it's a lot of eyes blown out and hands blown off. Because these were pagers, and they weren't where the explosions were so big. It's just that they happened all over the place. Somebody could have been driving, and so there's all this collateral damage, but they sought to disfigure and disable.
Can I just say what a complete jackass Bill Maher is?
I don't even want to play him anymore.
And how he just completely interrupts his guests like they don't matter, like their opinion doesn't matter. And the Fonz had
I love him.
exactly what the whole point of this
Just
is
a
that
very reasonable person.
it is, you can't kill an idea. What you are going to do, which they've already done, is you've created the next, like, 9/11, because you have effectively destroyed hundreds of thousands of lives. Destroyed them. And they will seek their revenge. Now, not all of them will, but they will.
You don't need that many people.
Don't need that many. You only need a dozen.
Look what happened. I know.
How many hijackers were there on 9/11? 19. How many of their families were ruined for decades? Now all of a sudden,
Notice that they weren't
back.
Palestinian, though.
No.
Notice
Saudi
that.
Arabia.
Notice how they weren't Palestinian.
And they weren't
Notice
from Iraq. Who knew?
Oh, who could have thought?
Who could have thought? Except somebody like Bill Maher, who's Mr. Armchair
They were
Smarty.
Saudi and Egyptian, I think.
And he's sophisticated because he's smoking a clove cigarette. Because he's special.
Whatever. He's honestly, Carla, thank you so much.
Love you, Carla.
I'm so enraged, like,
could you
all
not
the
be?
time now. But it's really not like, it's distressing, and it interferes in certain functionality. Like, I can't have basic conversations with people, like normal run-of-the-mill conversation. How are you? I'm not good. There's a genocide happening.
What
How are
made
you?
that
I don't even know what to say.
And what made that conversation so important to listen to is that Henry Winkler is that anti-Zionist Jew that you want to pretend doesn't exist. Now, he doesn't come out in public the way
You don't know he's an anti-Zionist Jew. He very well might be sitting there thinking we could have a two-state solution. I actually am happy not further unpeeling that, because I don't want to know. I don't need to know. It could be very disappointing.
He's at least not on the side of genocide.
No, and he clearly has issues with what's going on, and he comes at this with love and empathy. That's what I got from that.
Of course.
So
Bill Maher comes at it from, that's not enough. We need to do more.
Also, let me, and I am not saying this in a JD Vance kind of way.
Are you
but
sure?
I promise you. But Bill Maher doesn't have kids. And I'm not saying
And he
this.
hates kids.
Well, again, now that I don't have necessarily have a problem with. I don't particularly like kids either.
Let
I
the
love
ad-
my kids,
Hey,
but I'm
listen,
kids.
If
But-
you're getting ads, let them play. It helps our channel.
And I do not think by any stretch that everybody who doesn't have kids is in the same boat where they don't give a shit about other people's kids. They have nieces, nephews. They have people. Maybe they just care because they care. I'm not saying that. But he comes off to me as the most self-absorbed, like interested, self-important. And that to me, you do see off. I do think is less, he wouldn't necessarily have that if he didn't have kids. Whereas somebody like Henry Winkler, he's a dad. He's somebody's dad. He's somebody's grandpa. And so when you're somebody's dad and somebody's grandpa, you think of things differently. You just do.
That's fair.
You know, and the fact that's why it's always so weird to me when there's like mothers that are warmongery, like Hillary, like where I think that's just, it's extra psychotic.
I think Hillary Clinton is a psychopath.
Well, yes. Well, yeah. I just don't understand. I don't understand how a mother could be so like, have such bloodlust.
That's why I think there's a fine line between a true sociopath like a Debbie Wasserman Schultz and then a real psychopath like Hillary Clinton. Like Hillary Clinton looks for reasons to make people suffer. Like she takes pride.
I don't know that Debbie doesn't do that.
I think Debbie
she doesn't have that level of a platform.
I think that she, well, you know what, she probably would if she had the power.
That's what I mean. I don't know what you're saying. She aspired to that.
Yes, absolutely. Bill Maher is smugnerant. I do agree.
He's just so disgusting.
He is.
He is.
But we will conclude this evening.
I can tell you what happened when Henry Winkler walked out of there. I guarantee you he went home and told whoever it was he's with that Bill Maher is the biggest piece of shit he ever sat down and had an interview with.
Well, like I said, on top of everything else, it's the way that Maher speaks to people. He speaks to the Fonz like, don't you know who I am?
And I'm sitting here thinking, you're talking to the Fonz in the most disrespect. You're talking to the fucking Fonz.
It's like talking to Rick Moranis in that connotation. You cannot do that. There's certain people you're not allowed to talk to that way.
There are, right?
God.
Or like Dolly or somebody.
Henry Winkler wouldn't harm a fly.
Henry Winkler.
And you're sitting there talking over it. He's giving an opinion. You invited him to your house to do a sit-down podcast.
Can I tell you, Bill Maher in his wildest dreams could never be as cool as Henry Winkler. Never.
He does think he thinks his shit.
And here's the thing. And so for people who don't know, and I've seen this many times, the backstory between Happy Days and when he was cast and all this stuff. And Henry Winkler, he was reading for Richie. He was a nerdy, square, not big. He's small. He wore lifts a lot, I think, as the Fonz because he's little. And he was this nerdy, and for him to be the cool guy was just, he was the shit.
Listen,
he was just the shit.
Listen, Henry, here's what I want you to do. Like
he could not believe.
I want you to come in tomorrow. I want you to grease up your hand. I just want to see what you like.
But he felt so awkward being that cool guy because he's a nerdy,
that's what being an actor is all about.
Yes. But yeah, the Fonz was freaking awesome.
For those of you who have been paying attention, as we often talk about, everything is centered around labor and what can we do to make things better. 60 Minutes actually decided to do a good piece of journalism last night, led by Leslie Stahl, when she isn't constantly trying to sandbag Donald Trump.
Ooh, I have my bullet.
Now, we have made very clear on this podcast.
I feel you. He's tribe. We claim him.
Yeah, there you go.
In fact, I'm pretty sure he was mentioned in the Hanukkah Adam Sandler song.
Put on your yarmulke.
Was it Henry?
And Arthur finds a ray.
Exactly.
O.J. Simpson, not a Jew.
The first time I heard that song, I was in the car. My dad was driving. We were driving. We had to pull over. Because my dad was crying and he couldn't see straight. It was so funny.
Call your friend Veronica. It's time to celebrate Hanukkah. Oh, boy, got a harmonica. Lovely, lovely Hanukkah. So drink your gin and tonica and smoke your marijuana.
Okay,
if you really, really want to go.
What was
Happy Hanukkah.
The other one I liked was the Goldie Hawn Paul Newman thing. That's a good-looking Jew.
Goldie Hawn's half Jewish. Paul Newman's half Jew. Put them together. What a fine-looking Jew.
It's so freaking funny.
I would advise you, and I agree, I would advise you all to check out Adam Sandler's podcast with Joe Rogan.
Okay, but seriously, if you are someone who has never heard the original Hanukkah song, I highly recommend it. Honestly, it does not disappoint.
So, for those of you who know, we have stated before that the one true positive of the Biden administration has been the improvements in the National Labor Relations Board, led by Lina Kahn, one of Kamala Harris's, if not possibly Kamala Harris's biggest contributor to her presidential run, billionaire Reid Hoffman, Silicon Valley.
And let us be clear, this is the only person in that administration, period, that's worth anything.
And so Reid Hoffman is making it his mission in life to get Lina Kahn out of the NLRB.
Oh, no, he was only telling her that in his advisory role, not as a donor.
No, definitely not.
He separates his role as a donor from his advisory role.
And why would Reid Hoffman do that?
Piece of shit.
So Leslie Stahl of 60 Minutes interviewed Lina Kahn of the NLRB to talk about the importance of dealing with price gouging. You know, this little corporate greed problem we have here in the United States. So here we go.
We have a situation.
Another consumer concern, the high cost of medicine. Kahn talks to independent pharmacists about the tricks and traps she says Big Pharma uses to jack up prices. For example, she zeroed in on the makers of asthma inhalers for extending their patents to keep low-cost generics off the shelves. On these inhalers, they cost $7 in France. The same exact inhaler is around $500 in the United States. Wow. Now,
yeah, wow. And guess what? If we had universal single-payer health care, it would be $7 here in the, or maybe a few bucks more, but that's what it would cost here in the United States. Isn't that amazing how it works when you cut out the for-profit motive in the health system?
See, and I don't think we should pay anything.
Okay.
We paid for it on the front end. Who do you think paid for R&D for all of that?
Yeah.
That would be us. Not our tax dollars, mind you.
Definitely not. But again, when we talk about why we need universal health care, this is it right here. Perfect example.
We're being raped.
In the front and the back.
Oh, yeah.
Hurts.
I saw... I'll tell you something funny. Okay. So there's this place in Breckenridge that's a distillery for... I want to say, what is it? I forget what it is that they do, that they distill. It might be vodka for, no, that doesn't seem right. But in any event, there's this distillery and the sign is poker in the front, liquor in the rear.
Well, anyway, Lina Kahn apparently has a few things to share.
She's really cute, by the way. She kind of reminds me of my friend Wafa.
Out of whack.
We agree.
Yeah.
So we took a close look at this and we found that companies were listing patents for things like the inhaler cap or the strap on your inhaler. So nothing to do with the actual ingredients of the drug or the formulation or composition of the drug.
So this is an inhaler for asthma. Show us what the innovation was that they claimed allowed them to extend the patent.
So it's this strap that they listed a patent for, this little piece of plastic.
No.
That's cute.
We allow that.
They were saying that they...
This also goes to show you how ignorant our country is about this stuff. But I also think it's the lack of intellectual curiosity that I think a lot of people have. You know, they don't want to know these things. Amazing how she does not even give a hint of her British accent.
She's British?
Yeah, she's from the UK.
Yeah, is she from the UK or she says British American? And I'm not questioning her identity. I just literally do not know. I just reminds me. I don't know. She's adorable. So yeah. See, the way she talks, like I'm sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, where did she go to law school? Because and sure enough, I had to look it up. She went to Yale. So, and notice she's not even an attorney. I mean, practicing as an attorney in that capacity. Like I was listening to her and I had to look it up. I'm like, where did she go to law school? Anyway, continue.
They should be able to continue the patent. Generics can't come in for the medication because they put that strap on.
That's right.
To make sure you didn't lose the cap.
That's right.
After the FTC sent warning letters to the 4 major inhaler makers, 3 of them, including this one, dropped the price from hundreds of dollars to just $35. And 2 days ago, the FTC filed a lawsuit to to bring down the price of insulin and scores of other drugs, suing 3 companies the agency says are responsible for manipulating most of the prices.
So we have somebody that's actually wanting to go after. Well, here's the thing. It's fascinating. I know this is going to be crazy. So she's the head of the FTC, right? Is that what you're saying? She's the head of the Federal Trade Commission. Is that her job? Okay. So this is actually someone doing their job. It's just so fascinating to me. Like she's actually doing her job. She is protecting consumers.
Yeah, that's not a good idea.
No, it's fascinating though. Like it's, yeah.
We'll continue.
Law students, and we love you.
Can we have a selfie?
Sure.
3, 2, 1.
When Kahn was a student here at Yale Law School, she wrote a paper called Amazon's Antitrust Paradox, contending that even though Amazon's prices are low, it's still a monopoly.
This was seen as an extraordinary breakthrough, and it went viral.
Less than 5 years later, President Biden made her head of the agency that polices Amazon.
You know, Amazon is a very popular company. People like the convenience, the choice. The prices are pretty moderate, and they're afraid that you're going to tamper with something that's good, that they like.
Our investigation uncovered that Amazon's illegal practices were actually raising prices for consumers because it had illegally muscled out rivals, locked them out of the market in ways that if you had more competition that Amazon hadn't squashed, consumers would be even better off.
Well, now you know that Jeff Bezos is going to be making a substantial contribution to Kamala Harris and probably Donald Trump to say, listen.
Well, he does that anyway.
Yeah,
he has to hedge his bets.
You're going to have to get this Lina Kahn out of there. It's not going to.
I love her.
Amazon denies doing anything illegal and says if Kahn wins, prices will go up. Also in the FTC's crosshairs, the issue of tech giants buying up smaller companies.
Oh, that's so funny.
And we have
we
do have laws in place to prevent this from happening.
And she's actually
but we don't enforce them.
And so we have someone who's actually doing their job. Like it's mind-blowing shit. She's actually enforcing some stuff. So funny.
In the technology markets, we went through a couple of decades where we saw over 800 acquisitions by the 5 big players, not a single one of which was blocked. And some of those we realized ended up leading to significant harm. Just to give you a concrete example, there were companies that were offering Americans greater privacy, and they were promising that we're not going to use your data, we're not going to sell it, we're not going to spy on you everywhere all the time. After some of those firms were bought up by one of the big guys, all of those data privacy policies changed overnight. And so Americans lost those privacy protections.
You're talking about Facebook and WhatsApp.
Yes, that's one example of that.
She's now suing over Facebook's acquisitions of WhatsApp and Instagram.
Is this me?
Make that 3 now. So Zuckerberg is definitely going to have, he's going to be throwing
in some
money.
Serious crosshairs, but I
should be watching her back.
I am just smitten.
Yeah.
I am smitten.
And let me tell you something.
She comes off as having 0 fucks to give, by the way.
And I can also tell you that you can tell that the algorithm is messed up because if you make a post on Instagram and it automatically allows you to place it on Facebook, you will never see the same numbers hit in a consistent way across the 2 platforms. You'll have one that's doing well and the other that's doing nothing. You think that's a coincidence? It's not.
Oh, this is so awesome.
The mandate to reverse what's gone on for 40 years, to undo some of the mergers that were approved.
We've identified not just one merger, but a whole string of mergers that some of these large companies made that we believe were illegal, that we believe were anti-competitive.
But they were approved.
They were not blocked. They were not challenged.
I really dig her. This is what I know.
Also,
I really
supporter and
dig
friend
her.
of the show. It is hilarious that Amazon says it opposes Kahn to keep their prices.
It's that, of course. But again, you know,
it's not about workers, it's about shareholders.
And they said they didn't do anything illegal, so that ends that. We're good. Right. It's all good. Nothing to see here, folks. They said they didn't do anything, so
taking a look.
It's all good. Nothing to see there. I knew his whole model, Bezos' whole model, was premised on being able to get basically subsidies and help.
Correct.
He couldn't have done what he did. Now, again, and people knows I am not like a business math person. I do not know the details of it. It's kind of like spread in the game. Like I'm not going to really understand it. But I do know that what he did by being able to function at a loss, to be able to get everybody else out of the business, to then first be able to turn a profit. The only way that he was able to get away with doing that is by whatever shady shit goes on where we subsidize people for fucking people. That's what I know. Sort of like I don't need to know the details to know that it didn't happen organically, and it sure as hell wasn't the free market.
Think of what, and I've said for quite some time, that the two worst mega corporations we have in the United States are Amazon and Walmart, and what they have done to destroy small town America, mom and pop shops throughout the country. How can you compete when you can just outsource your jobs to third world countries that pay pennies on the dollar? This is the issue that I have always taken with immigration, because if you're going to allow the floodgates to open, it is always done on the premise that you're going to crush labor in this country. That is the point. And that is why they want Lina Kahn out as the head of the NLRB, because she is
the head of the NLRB?
No, as the head of the
FTC.
FTC. You know, head of the FTC. She's fucking with corporate profits. The second you start doing that, that is the third rail, the only third rail. That's the only thing.
But yet, this is the only way to ever be able to. This is the same concept that FDR dealt with in terms of the only way to protect capitalism is to have these regulations. By the way, if people don't have disposable income, like if there's no working people with disposable income, the goods and services will eventually collapse on themselves. Like that's the end, where all we are is a military and there is nothing else to us but military and force. And that will eventually decline too, because when people have less income and then you start it's just not, we're just not going to be able to maintain. People are dying because we don't have healthcare. We don't educate people. We don't house people, but yet we can afford to take over the world.
Of course,
we can take care of the people here, apparently. So I don't know why we want to be in charge of other people.
Well, we want to be in charge of other people because it's profitable. That's all that matters. No. Bottom line.
I'm so over it. I'm so over it.
So before we go,
are you going to subject?
Are you going to help me? You're going to hate that I'm going to do it?
Well, I'm not going to hate it, but okay. Can we preface this with that? I do not like discussing and or giving airtime to congressional partisan political hackery and this kind of drama bullshit, but he wants to cover the AOC thing. So again, I don't give her grace anymore. I did for a really long time. I really have no grace to give her anymore.
Speak louder than words.
I have no grace for her anymore, but I just would assume just not even discuss her.
Now, if you're going to go out and make a statement today, effectively saying that you're in favor of censorship, that is a very dangerous place to be, because AOC has a very large platform and a lot of influence, despite what some people may think. She's not as popular as she thinks she is, but she does have a lot of followers, and they do listen. So this is the statement she made this afternoon.
I do think that several members of Congress in some of my discussions have brought up media literacy, because that is a part of what happened here. And we're going to have to figure out how we rein in our media environment so that you can't just spew disinformation and misinformation.
You mean like what you do?
It's one.
You mean like what you do?
If you're going to use that word, and when you're talking about reining in the media, I mean, you're somebody who basically was only able to get to Congress because people were gracious enough to put you, sure, JD, but again, this is what happens when you're very politically ambitious, and she is.
Good luck to her with that.
Just as I talked about with Jordan on Status Quo this evening, Dana Nessel is very politically ambitious, and she wants to be the next governor of Michigan.
Good luck with that.
AOC wants to either be the next senator from New York or president of the United States.
And yet has not the balls to challenge Chuck Schumer. So
she doesn't have the balls to challenge anything.
No, but I'm just so disgusted with this whole thing right now. And I really would like to start, like, I like how Butch Ware refers to her, and I think we need to start calling her AOCP. Do you know how Butch Ware, you know who Butch Ware is?
AOCP?
AOCP. Because he calls her AOC Pelosi. No.
Oh, AOC Pelosi.
He calls her AOC Pelosi.
Okay.
And so I think we need to start calling her AOCP, because this kind of ridiculous, like, authoritarian empire representative shit is, as far as I'm concerned, you might as well just put the black helmet on her. She is now Darth Vader. Just pass the fucking lightsaber.
And who is putting her up to this? Like, I want to know who is in her inner circle that is saying,
of the AOCP.
You really think she's that close?
I think that she is gunning for that position. I think she knows that her way is to get in the good graces of Nancy Pelosi, because at the end of the day, that is still the rainmaker. And so that is the person who determines who gets money from the DCCC. That is the person who decides who gets to stay and who gets to go, and who gets what positions and what committees. And yeah, I do. I think that she is a suck up to her. That is what I think now.
I think she's just doing whatever she thinks she has to do in order to.
Well, but that's the thing. So she is now AOCP.
One thing to have differing opinions, but it's another thing entirely to just say things that are false.
So you don't believe in the First Amendment. You do not believe in the right to say what you want to say.
No. And here's the ultimate problem when it comes to her. And this is really what it comes down to. And I honestly do not care how obnoxious this sounds. I really don't. She's just not that bright.
I don't take her seriously.
She's just not that bright.
She doesn't come, like, when you listen to Rashida speak, when you listen to Ilhan speak, hell, when you listen to Gavin Newsom speak, there is a level of gravitas that comes with it.
She comes off like a college age TikToker. That's it. And she doesn't come off, to me, I'm just saying, I've never found her to be incredibly bright. So who knows what information she gives. I know she's probably surrounded by a whole bunch of sycophantic tools who probably give her whatever information they give her.
If there is one thing that Alex definitely seems like to me, she is almost like a mirror image of somebody like Trump, in the sense that she has to have people around her that constantly tell her how great she is and how intelligent she is and how she's right about everything that she does, that criticism is not valid, that her way is the right way, instead of saying, you know, Alex, maybe this isn't such a good idea. No, I don't think she gets that type of criticism.
Oh, wait, here's the thing, Steve. She's not Darth Vader. She's just a social democrat doing what they always do. Okay, but she is using her power for evil.
And she's got power.
She's using her power for evil. She is now simping for a party that's okay with genocide. She's gaslighting people. She is now sitting there promoting censorship. So yeah, she's crossed over to the dark side. I think it is very safe to say that she has crossed over to the dark side.
She has the power to actually make a difference right now. She's in like a plus 30 D district. So there's nothing that's going to happen to her and her seat. You know, she could actually be standing and using her soapbox right now.
Have a spine.
To talk about how we cannot go forward as a party if we do not stop the genocide.
Which is what I was saying, is to, I don't know who she's surrounded with, who she listens to, but I've never found her, I've never found her to be very bright. So when you're not that bright and you're also like wanting all of this stuff, so I don't know what she believes, what she knows, what she's told to do. And the fact that we can't discern amongst those things, therein is the problem.
Yeah.
Therein is the problem. But I also feel like with Kamala, I don't think Kamala even picks out her own clothes. So I think that there's just some people that they don't have a position. They just go like, they're like amorphous. They're like, although Octopus is really smart.
Not going to argue with you, VJ, but
he looks like a used car salesman.
Have you ever heard Governor Pritzker give a speech? Like, you have to understand.
Definitely luxury cars, though, because he still wears really nice suits.
Yeah. Like, you cannot deny that there is something. When you hear certain people talk, and you can understand why people gravitate to them. That doesn't mean that they're good, but you have to recognize that.
Oh, yeah.
Alex doesn't have that.
Like people like Obama.
Yeah.
Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
Everybody who has ever met him has said the same thing. It's
course.
not right. So yeah, no, there's certain people, but that doesn't mean that they're quality people. It doesn't mean that they're not just friggin' snake oil salesmen that are just slicker. You know, that's the problem, I think, with so many people that in my, like, I think social circle is they would look at someone like Gavin Newsom as, oh my God, he's like a knight in shining armor and Trump is this evil ogre. When in reality, they're the same. So it's people are very, very, well, look, we've always known that, you know, like appearance matters, all those things matter.
But I think the veneer of the party has just been completely removed. And I think at this point, they're just desperately trying to hang on for dear life. They think that they can still convince people. I had this epiphany earlier today, and I heard Kamala, I don't remember what it was that she had said, but I just remember after it was over, I remember just thinking of you and thinking, she can't win.
No.
It's not possible.
She can't, again,
They're
I don't
not
understand
going
how she was
to-
able to litigate a case. I find this fascinating. The amount, it's so, how did these people?
How they think they're going to be
understand.
able to get her over the finish line when it's obvious that she doesn't have any kind of gravitas. Remember, 2020 was a very unique situation. And everyone knows that if it was an election without a pandemic, Trump was probably going to win in an even bigger landslide electorally than he won in 20.
Well, because again,
2016.
Biden barely won. It was
Correct.
close. And it's, yeah.
So my apologies, Jay. I thought for some
That's
reason
what
that
I
they were
said.
interconnected.
No,
and
I
that's
told
fine.
him. I said FTC. I told him FTC, but thank you. Yes.
But that is Biden's best appointment as president.
She's.
So she clearly is the real deal.
Which means that she'll be one of the first ones to go.
If Kamala gets in. Correct. Because make no mistake, Biden's bad, but Kamala, in terms of Wall Street, she's Hillary Clinton.
She is really Hillary Clinton. I don't like this. Is not
100%. So we appreciate you all being here. We have not figured out yet who our guest is going to be on Thursday, but I'll work on that. And of course, we are going to have a handful of guests coming up. We've already got Norman Solomon. We're working on him for early October.
Does he have a book that I
He
need
does
to
have
read?
a book, and I believe they're sending a copy.
Okay.
If there's an audio, working on that.
Well,
too.
even if there's not, I'd still do a Kindle, but that's fine.
Yeah. So for all of you who are here, Miss Chewy says, yes, but no, Teresa, Philip Blair.
If you guys
Sound
haven't
Jay
hit
Boats.
like, hit like.
Please.
Hit the like button.
It's the scrolling button.
If you're not subscribed, subscribe. If you are subscribed, consider being a patron.
You can go right there.
Consider it. Marinate on it.
It would be nice. It could be helpful.
I will admit to anybody who has reached out on Patreon, I've seen a couple of people. I have definitely been remiss the past month. I am going to get back into my Patreon groove, and I will respond.
The 7 sacraments of health, I'd like to know what those are. Carla Harrington, thank you again for your very generous contribution. Kat Negrita, Holly Horn,
It's helpful.
Schultze, Melanie Dennis, Canadian Socialist, JD Party Hat, Henrika Jawa, Mario, Base Jet, Thunderjack, Kira, Crawley, I agree, that's a good nickname. Ray J, great to see you.
AODNC. That's pathetic.
Steve
It's so
Grossman,
pathetic.
Noble One. I am sure there are many, I have no doubt.
That's just a redundant phrase. That's like, we used to joke about, criminal lawyer. It's just redundant.
Bella
But
Greasy,
international,
Sarah R.
Israeli and criminal kind of go together.
No doubt. No doubt.
No, I'm so beyond. I'm
John Nada. Who else?
I'm trying to figure out what to do with my
Giuseppe?
Israeli army shirt.
Burn it on the line.
Well, I thought about that. I thought about setting it on fire. I thought about that. That's what I'm
Jules.
saying. I'm thinking about what to do with it. That would be the most profound thing.
Teresa, yeah, that would be fun.
No,
Campfire.
setting it on
Linda-
fire doesn't do anything.
Linda Fontes. Maybe you should mail it somewhere.
No, what I'm thinking about doing is having a Palestinian flag embroidered on it. But the only thing is that could it ever be worth money when it's like there no longer exists a state of Israel? It'll be like it'll be a relic from the past. It'll be a military shirt from a no longer existing state.
Chris Garrett. Yeah,
Here's
I
hoping.
should save it. And,
Well, that's why I don't want to set it on fire. But I kind of want to embroider
Put in a museum.
I kind of want to embroider this like a Palestinian, like a quilt square on the back of it.
Let's see. I think that's Silvio Pina. Thank you again for your contribution, and that was also very sweet. John Nada, I think I made
that was the Italian LA person.
That is correct. Brian St. Pierre.
Is it wrong
Jimmy
that
Zim
whenever I
Zam.
hear about Italian people, I think about food?
How could you not?
I don't know. I feel like that's
you're just
kind
hungry.
of well, I am
Crispy.
hungry, but that's still like I do like when I hear about like Italian people, the first thing I want to ask them is,
Teddy
does your mom make
Cool.
the Sunday sauce? And if your mom makes the Sunday sauce, can I come over?
Larry Taylor. Sir Medi. No argument from us. Infinite H.
Oh yeah, they've been real helpful with the people of Haiti.
Extremely. Bigly.
That honestly, this is why the DNC is toast, because they got purchased.
They did. Rogant.
By the Clintons.
In a big way.
It's in bigly. And Haiti got so screwed because of all that money that they raised. And somebody will have to go and look up and get the numbers. And I remember seeing them at the time. It's been years already. But out of all the money that went in, this teeny percentage actually made it to Haiti. And out of all the things they were supposed to do, I want to say they built like a handful of houses. There's some ridiculous discrepancy between what they raised for relief in the aftermath of the hurricane and in the earthquake and what they did. Thank you. Look, the fact that we could cheer you up when we're talking about genocide, I think speaks volumes of us.
I would think so. And Mark J. Most Americans don't care about Gaza.
I know.
Americans is about property and money. A war machine without empathy. Empathy should be taught to children.
I know.
Yeah, it's a hard one.
This is why it's I feel like often it's a very dark place for people to be that do think about these things, because it is very hard for me to have small talk conversation with people about just stupid shit.
Yeah.
When I just saw a man walking around with his kid's foot. Like I don't even, like, there's nowhere for me to go from there.
That's why we do our show. That's why we ask you to continue.
I'm just so sad. I'm sad. I'm angry. I feel helpless. I'm just so enraged. Did you see the actual fetus? Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw
they pull a fetus with a placenta attached out of the rubble. Yeah, I saw that too.
Hey, it's what you got to do for your.
Because they got to get Hamas.
Well, they got to get their $500 billion in natural gas under the soil and the additional $1 trillion in real estate construction along that Mediterranean coastline. Listen, it is.
I hope that everybody who is seeking the profit from that suffers horribly in their life.
Or in the afterlife.
And let me tell no, I don't.
And they get both.
No, right. I wish like things like boils on you. Like I can't even say that. Like I hope every single person who is part of that and has any chance to profit from that, I hope horrible things happen to you and your family.
We'll cover Diddy.
And do you know what it takes for me to say something like that? Like I am a good witch. I don't do hexes. I don't do negative casting. I am a positive person.
Are you sure?
Yes, I don't ever, because I know that when you put negative out there, that shit is boomerang. That's going to come right back and bite you in the ass. But I kid you not, I, in my heart of hearts, really am sitting here wishing horrible things. Like when I think of people like Kushner and the people that are part of what I consider to be the money, like the interests in what you're talking about, I really do wish bad things on them. And that I'm not proud to say that, but I do.
How could you not?
I do. And that's why it bothers me that I feel bad thoughts. But one thing I know, you can't control your thoughts. Like you can't control your thoughts. You can't control your feelings. You can control your behavior. I would not hurt these people, but I cannot help that. I really do want that. And I don't normally wish bad things, even on people I don't like. He'll tell you, I don't like to put that shit out there. I really do hope bad things happen to people that are profiting from this.
We appreciate you all. Smash that like button, share, subscribe, do all those things that we ask you to do. It's been a great chat this evening. Anytime we have a redirected crowd from Status Quo, it's always great.
You don't have to post it. I just want to read it. Yeah. It's just sad.
It is. But cheer up if you can, and we'll see you Thursday.
Bye, all.